Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. Go ahead and find a seat because today's lesson bridges two of the absolute most fascinating subjects out there, geography and macroeconomics. It's so easy to think of global trade as this massive, abstract concept happening in the cloud somewhere. But today, we're going to ground it in a very specific physical reality. We are zooming in on an absurdly tiny waterway that quite literally dictates the global economy. It's a space so small on a world map that you'd probably miss it if you blink. Yet, its importance is so colossal that every major world power is monitoring it around the clock. All right, here is our syllabus for today's explainer. We're going to cover four main things. Number 1, Geography 101, the Strait. 2, defining each choke point. 3, exporters and major importers. And 4, the global ripple effect.
Let's dive right in with Section 1, Geography 101, the Strait.
Okay, let's define our terms and figure out exactly where we're looking. The Strait of Hormuz is the waterway located right between Iran and Oman. Functionally, it's the absolute crucial geographic link that connects the Persian Gulf directly out to the Arabian Sea, and subsequently, the Indian Ocean. If we're looking at this in a macro-geographic sense, think of the Persian Gulf as a massive reservoir, and the Arabian Sea as the open highway to the rest of the world. While the Strait of Hormuz, it's the single driveway connecting the two. You simply cannot bypass it. Now, what is truly staggering here is the sheer physical smallness of this space. 33 kilometers, that is just over 20 miles wide. That's the entire width of this crucial global passage. To put that into perspective for you, you could drive a car that distance on a highway in, about 20 to 30 minutes? And here's a surprising fact that makes this even tighter. Because the waters there are shallow and filled with obstacles, the actual designated shipping lanes for those massive supertankers, they're only 2 miles wide in either direction. It is a shockingly narrow gap of water, which provides just an incredible contrast to the massive economic weight it carries every single day. So here is the crucial point to write down. Nearly 1/5 of the world's petroleum passes through this tiny 33-kilometer gap daily. Think about what that really means for our global infrastructure for a second. 1 out of every 5 barrels of oil moving across the entire planet is squeezed through a waterway you could easily drive across in a half hour if there happened to be a bridge. It is just an astronomical concentration of vital energy resources moving through a remarkably tight physical space.
Which leads us nicely into Section 2, defining a choke point.
Time for a key vocabulary term for the day. A choke point is a narrow route that controls global trade, where any disruption can impact the whole world. And the word itself is incredibly descriptive, isn't it? It implies a severe vulnerability. Just like a physical bottleneck, if you squeeze or restrict a choke point, you immediately cut off the vital circulation that the entire system relies upon. And because of that staggering 1/5 of global petroleum moving through it, the Strait of Hormuz widely holds the title of the world's most important oil choke point.
All right, moving on to Section 3, exporters and major importers.
Let's map out the supply chain here, starting on the export side. We have major oil-producing countries, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. These are absolute giants of petroleum production, but their geographic location dictates that they must use this single, narrow passage to export their oil out to the rest of the world. So their massive economic output is fundamentally bottlenecked by the Strait of Hormuz.
Now let's flip it and look at the demand side. Who's waiting for all that oil? Well, as illustrated by the sheer scale of energy needs in nations like China, these dependent importers, which also prominently include India, Japan, and South Korea, are global economic powerhouses. We're talking massive populations, sprawling manufacturing sectors, and immense daily energy needs. They don't just want these energy supplies, they absolutely depend on them to keep their countries functioning, to keep the lights on, and to keep their economies growing.
Actually, let's isolate one specific example to make this really concrete. India is a prime case study in this dynamic. For India, this specific route is exceptionally vital because a very, very large share of its total crude oil imports passes directly through the Strait of Hormuz. When a nation is that highly dependent, its domestic stability, its transportation networks, its industrial output, the whole shebang, is securely tethered to a 33-kilometer stretch of water hundreds of miles away. And that brings us to our final topic today, Section 4, the global ripple effect. Remember the geography we mapped out earlier? The strait sitting directly between Iran and Oman? Well, that is not just trivia. It is highly strategic.
As noted in the source material, Iran has repeatedly warned that it could block the strait during conflicts with the West. And as students of this topic, it's important we look at this neutrally and factually. Geography affords the nations bordering this choke point immense leverage. The threat of closure is a persistent geopolitical reality, and it's something that every single global market factors into its calculations every single day.
So let's see how this plays out step by logical step. Step 1. We start with even a small military tension in the area. This naturally leads to step 2. Shipping slows down as vessels proceed with caution or completely alter their routes for safety. Now step 3. Because the supply is delayed, fuel and transport costs begin to rise. And finally, step 4, because literally everything we buy requires transport, those rising costs are passed right on to the consumer, leading to a spike in global inflation. It's a direct, severe cause and effect chain reaction.
This quote perfectly summarizes the extreme sensitivity of this market. Even a small military tension here can immediately increase global crude oil prices. Notice the operative word there? Immediately. The market absolutely does not wait around for an actual blockade to react. The mere possibility of a slowdown at this specific choke point instantly translates into a global economic shock. A highly localized event becomes a worldwide financial event in a matter of hours. As we wrap up today's lesson, I want to leave you with a lingering question to ponder. If a 33-kilometer waterway, a space you can literally drive across in less than an hour, has the power to dictate global inflation and stall major economies, how fragile is our true energy independence? Really think about that the next time you hear about shipping delays or changing fuel prices. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your curiosity sharp, and I will see you in the next one.